Hey beauties, it's Riri, and in today's video we're doing a full face of, well, nothing new. This is the drugstore edition. I'll also be filming a high-end version as well. I'm already prepped, skincare and everything is done, and I do have on my primer. This is the Milani Supercharged Dewy Primer, and as you can see, it is quite glowy and dewy, but not too much, not overkill. It also has a very light citrusy scent to it. It kind of reminds me of those like Flintstones push pop things, the ice cream things. That's what it smells like. But it's not overpowering or anything like that, and it does dissipate as you wear it. I'm gonna pull my little bit of hair back. We're gonna be doing our eyes first, so I'm gonna go in with a little bit of tape. I have eye tapes, but I don't know what I did with them. If you are going to use regular tape versus eye tapes, I do recommend that you take it and put it on the back of your hand first a couple of times, just so that it's not quite as tacky. That way it's not pulling and tugging, because your under eye area is very, very delicate. And I'm going to use this because I'm going to be doing an eyeshadow wing, and it's just easier. I hope everybody is well. I hope you are enjoying the fall weather, if you have fall weather. Here in the South, as I'm sure it is in a lot of places, it is in like the 70s, low 80s-ish during the like afternoon time, and then overnight kind of into early morning, it's in like the 40s to 50s. So it's perfect weather for me. I love the fall weather, so I'm not complaining at all. First up, I'm going to go into the Essence Prime Like a Boss eyeshadow base. And I am opting to go in and do my eyes first, solely because I want that wing to kind of be pretty sharp and pretty precise, but you can always go in and do it in the manner that you like to do it in. For my eyeshadow today, I'm going in with Juvia's Place. Now, I know you can't walk into like Walmart per se and buy this, but Juvia's Place is very, very affordable, and I think that they are an underhyped brand. The artwork and the theming and the packaging is always exquisite. It's so incredibly beautiful. They are massive pans. This is like the perfect neutral palette literally for anybody. And they are great, great, great quality. So I am first going to go into a fluffy brush. This is a Clarity Cosmetics K519, and I'm going to go into the lightest matte. I'm actually going to set my entire lid with this. And if you are finding that you're having issues with blending or anything like that, first and foremost, make sure you're well prepped, obviously, and I suggest an eye primer. But if you're still having an issue with your shadows not blending out, you can set your lids with a light or, you know, kind of skin tone or bone type shade, and then go in, and this is going to help everything just kind of blend out a little bit easier. I will also note that if you're aiming for drugstore Profusion, they're hit and miss, but a lot of their palettes are really, really nice. Of course, you can go in with ELF. I am not oftentimes a fan of drugstore eyeshadows, not gonna lie. I don't own very many. So if you can recommend some to me, that would be awesome. I'm staying in the same fluffy brush. I'm going into the next shade right here, which is more of kind of a deepened caramel, has a little bit of warmth to it. And I'm going to keep this kind of low because I'm using a big fluffy brush. And what this is going to do with me kind of starting out here, it's going to kind of blend in with that first little shade, and it's going to make my gradient be really, really beautiful, and basically me not have to work for it. You will also note that, yes, I kind of rock and kind of stay in my crease, kind of in that socket area, but because I have hooded lids, all that would disappear if I didn't go just slightly above. So you do not necessarily have to go as high as I go, but if I don't go a little bit higher, you're not going to ever see the work that I did. And then I'm going to turn the brush over where there's no product at all, and I'm going to kiss the edge just in between those two shades, and that gradient is already there. Next up, I'm going to go into this little Glam Light brush, and I'm going to go back into that warmer toasty shade, and I kind of want to intensify it a little bit more just on the very outer portion of the lid. And if you're looking for affordable brushes, I think ColourPop has fantastic brushes. I actually got a beautiful brush roll from them last like holiday season, and I want to say I got it for like 40% off, and it had probably 20 plus brushes in it. Great, great quality. BH Cosmetics has great brushes. Real Techniques has great brushes. You can definitely find affordable brushes as well. I'm not going to go into this little flimsy brush. This is a little cheaper set that I got from Amazon by Jessup Brushes. It's supposed to be like one of the Morphe collabs, but you know, we don't buy from Morphe. So I'm going to go into this little brush, and it's teeny tiny but very flimsy. That's what I want. And I'm going to go into this very deep dark chocolate brown, and I'm going to kind of really load up my brush. Keep in mind, I'm not aiming for perfection here, because when I take the tape off, it should be a pretty clean line. Should being the operative word here. So I'm literally just going to follow the line of the tape, and I'm going to come across about halfway, kind of meeting where I left off with that warmer brown shade. I feel like the eyeshadow, especially doing it in this manner and kind of putting down the tape, it's just a little bit easier, and it's a little bit more beginner friendly. You guys know that I try to be as beginner friendly as I can be around here. And for right now, I'm literally following the tape. That is not where I'm going to end up, but it's just easier, honestly, to just slap it on, and then I can clean it up as I go. The main part is trying to keep it as close to my little lash line as possible, and again, I'm coming about halfway across. And you could do this with any colors. I like to do this kind of light to dark method as far as eyeshadow goes, because first of all, it is very beginner friendly. It works for everybody. You just go with, you know, the shades that kind of correspond to your skin tone and undertone. But you could go in with a very light, soft pastel baby pink, do a mid-tone pink, do a dark pink, and then smoke it out with a bright, like fuchsia type pink. You could do the same thing with blues, with greens, whatever the case may be, and the method still works, and it's honestly pretty fail-proof. Next, I'm going to go into the NYX Glitter Primer. And I'm going to get just a little bit, because I'm only aiming for this little front portion. So I'm going to put a tiny little dot. I literally did just a dot. And I'm going to walk that across, starting at the inner corner. Less is more here too. You do not need a lot of this. And truthfully, you don't really need it if you don't want to use it. If you're aiming for longevity, then I definitely recommend it. I'm going to go right here into this beautiful light champagne shade. And I'm going to lightly press that in just in the inner portion, bringing it about halfway over. Not necessarily aiming for like a half cut crease or anything like that, but I will go back in with a brush, and that's kind of a good tip too. You're gonna get more bang for your buck with, you know, your finger. You're gonna get the, you know, most heightened level of pigmentation that you can get using your finger. But I do like to go in with a brush and just kind of clean things up. I'm going to go in with a more precise or firm type brush. I'm going to go into the exact same shade, pick up just a little bit, just to make it a little bit more precise. Let's take off our tape, and we're going to look a little bit crazy right now. I'm gonna grab a makeup wipe, and then I'm gonna kind of look down here in my big mirror, and I want this to kind of follow kind of out to the outside of my brow. You make this however intense, big, bold, whatever, as much as you want. So I'm literally just gonna take the wipe, and I'm gonna follow this up and kind of cut it at that place that I want it to stop at. All right, I am back. Are they even? No, they're not. We're going to pretend like they are. Next up, I'm going to go with the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. And because I'm going in with a more kind of glowy type of foundation, I am not going to use a lot of this. I honestly really love using this with just a little bit of concealer, like right through here, and I'll do a little bit of like some spot, you know, touch-ups with the concealer and put this all over. Stunning. Absolutely love it. I'm going to go in with a brush. And if you are somebody that, if you are more like me and you like a less is more approach to makeup, then this, as you can see, it takes down a lot of the redness and stuff like that and gives a really beautiful blurring effect, and it gives like just a little tiny kiss of coverage, but then it gives a beautiful soft glow as well. I really, really love this product. Next up, I'm going to go into the Maybelline Superstay 24-Hour Skin Tint. This is the shade 220. And I have very dry, dehydrated, textured, obviously mature skin. If you have oily skin, you don't use these. Use one or the other, and maybe set with a mattifying primer and then set your complexion, because this is incredibly glowy. As a matter of fact, I'll get it up close for you. You can see that there is very clearly a lot of sheeniness to this, glow, if you will. I did note in my review of this that this has a very strong alcohol scent kind of upon first application. That does dissipate, like it's not something that lingers or anything like that. And the bottle can be a little bit messy, but other than that, this is a win. It is stunning. I don't want to waste any and a bunch was falling out, so that's why I'm doing that. And then again, I'm going in with my brush, and I like to pat or pounce in the foundation. Being careful to not mess up our perfect eyeshadow wing. I am going to set just a tiny bit. This is also glowy, so hopefully this doesn't end up too glowy. This is the NYX High Glass Finishing Powder. I'm going to go in with a humongous fluffy brush. Remember, the bigger, the fluffier the brush, the least amount of product you're going to place down. And I am going to very, very lightly set. Only because this doesn't set down all the way, especially with having, you know, the e.l.f. Halo Glow on top of it. And I don't want my bronzer or my other products to kind of skip on my skin, so that is why I'm doing this. Next up, I'm going to go into my favorite brush of all time. This is the Judy brush from the crayon case. I'm going to go into the Catrice Sungasm Luminizing Bronzer. Again, if you do not have dry, you know, skin, these products may not be for you. Or obviously maybe just go in and set your complexion and prep your skin a little bit differently from how I would have. I like to start up high toward my hairline, and I kind of only bring it about halfway down in between, like halfway of my eye or whatever. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. And then I stay very, very close to the hairline. I do not like that whole bronzer helmet look, y'all. It is not for me. Of course, you do you. Do what makes you feel like the best version of yourself. This is the BH Cosmetics Chocolate Cherry Truffle Blush Palette. And I'm going to go between these two and tap it off because they are pretty pigmented. And I'm going to follow kind of where I left off with the bronzer and then meet it kind of in the middle. I like to have that kind of clear indication of, hey, this is my bronzer, and hey, this is my blush. And you can see, before I blend it out, it's very, very intense. And then, as I always do, and if you've been with me even through my Facebook days many 10 years ago, I always set the complexion. After all of my powder products, I go in with a dry sponge and I lightly press. I'm barely touching my skin. And what this is going to do, this also works on oily skin, this is going to take away any type of powderiness, any type of dryness or anything like that, and kind of just melts everything into the complexion as opposed to everything sitting on top of the complexion. It just kind of brings life back to the skin. And as you can see, I was looking a little bit kind of too radiant, if you will, and that's taking that down. Now, because everything is so glowy, I'm going to opt to not do a highlighter today, but I do want to go into the Be Perfect Polar Vortex Frosted Highlighter. And I'm going to take a teeny tiny little pencil brush, and I just want to pop this on my inner corners, just because there's nothing for me that's quite as light and bright in the Juvia's Place palette. Alright, I'm going to hop off of camera, so I'm going to go in with my Milani Weekend Brow Shade Brunette, and I'm finishing up the last little bit of my NYX Thick It, Stick It, also in Brunette. I literally run this through first, and then go in between the little patchy areas, damn 90s, and fill my brows in. I'll be right back. Next, I'm going to go into my little Revlon Eyelash Curler, and I'm going to throw on some of my Essence Volume Booster Lash Primer, and the Essence The False Lashes Mascara. Alright, mascara is on. I did also follow that eyeshadow wing with the darker brown down on the lower lash line. To finish up, I'm going to go in with the LA Colors Lip Liner in the shade It's Perfect. And then, incredibly affordable, this is the Wet n Wild Mega Last Matte in the shade Never Nude. And then, because I feel like that's a little light, kind of washes me out just a little bit, I'm going to go in with the NYX Juicy Secret Lip Gloss. This is the shade Bit of Honey. And that is it. This is my full face of nothing new, all favorites, all things that I know and love, drugstore edition. What do you guys think? Ignore the wonky wing. You'll do a much better job, I'm sure of it. But here's our finished look. What do you guys think? What are some of your favorites, some of your holy grail drugstore products that you swear by? Definitely recommend some stuff for me down below, especially eyeshadows. And what of everything that I've tried, what is your favorite that I've tried? What is something that you're dying to try and you have not tried yet? Thank you, beauties, for joining me. I love you. Stay happy, healthy, and safe. And of course, be your own best beautiful. Bye, beauties.